Hi everyone. I wanted to talk to you today about the piece of software that I use regularly within my photography business. And it's really a recommendation. So something that will make your life a lot easier if you want to start a photography business. So most people start out and they're really good at what they do. They're really good at the photography side of things, but they need a bit more practice with the business side of things. So running any sort of creative business is 80% business, 20% the thing that you love. So 20% photography. You will spend a lot of your time editing your website, doing your marketing, doing any admin, editing your photos, that sort of thing. So you do have to be prepared for that. If you do photography as a hobby and you love it as a hobby, making it into a business might not work for you unless you like the challenge of running a business. So the piece of software that I use, I am going to recommend, is called 17 Hats. And what it does is it basically works as an admin assistant. Now, when you first get 17 Hats, there's a lot of setup that you need to do. And that setup comes in the form of creating email templates, invoice templates, a contract template. There might be questionnaires, so you might need to do like a portrait release or a model release, a property release. You can also set up your image licensing templates, so to send out to commercial clients who need to license your work. So 17 Hats basically is a place that you can keep all of your customer information. So it's a CRM system, customer relations management software. So the way that this works for me is I have my form on my website, and that will be for, let's say, for example, somebody wants to come and do a one-to-one with me. So they'll fill in their information, a name, their email address, a phone number, when they would ideally like a session, and then any other information. 17 Hats takes that information, embeds it into the contact fields within the software, and saves that person as a hot lead. I can then go in and I can reply. So I have a few automated emails, and they are titled how to date available, how to date unavailable, how to open date. Okay, so with date available, we'll say something like, hello, whatever the first name is, thank you for your email, or thank you for your inquiry through the website. Here's everything that we would learn on your session. The date is available, and if you'd like to book in on that date, then let me know and we'll go from there. And then there could be another follow-up email which says, hello, whatever the first name is, thank you for your inquiry. The date is not available, but we can do X, Y, Z. Let us know and go from there. So I kind of use emails as a backup because whenever I get an inquiry form through, I always phone. So phoning is much better than email because you can gauge tone. But it also depends on your customer, because a lot of people aged, I don't know, like 20 to 35-ish, in my experience, don't like to talk on the phone. They'd much rather a text or an email. Now, I'm a get things done kind of person. I don't want to waste my time emailing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, especially if, you know, it takes somebody a day to pick up an email. That's just not for me. I'm going to phone straight away. You know, hi, it's Gemma. It's now a good time to chat about your session. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, that date's available. Do you have any questions? No, yes, whatever. Answer the questions. Cool, shall we book you in? This is how it works. I'll send you my invoice, which is a template, and I'll also send you my terms and conditions, which is also a template. Terms and conditions has all the information about the session, so where we are, where to park, information on rescheduling, that sort of thing. Okay, that will all be sent over to them in an email, so I'll tell them to keep an eye out for it, and also to keep an eye out in their junk or spam folders just in case it ends up in one of those. Okay, yeah, they're happy with that, they know what to expect, then they can book in. Okay, now you can set the invoices to automatically mark as paid when they pay, because they can pay online, and it can also automatically send them out a receipt. So you would have an email template for your receipts as well, and all of your emails, your contracts, all your paperwork that you create in 17 Hats is branded, so it all ties in with your website and your branding, which is really nice. Now, one of the other things I use 17 Hats for is the lead generation. So like I said, on the website, people come for a lead form. Now I create that form in 17 Hats, and I can have as many as I want. So if I've got different subjects, so how to use Photoshop, how to use Lightroom, how to use your camera, I have a separate lead form for each of those sessions. And then when it comes through, I get an email. I can have a text as well if I set it up to say you've had a new form entry, and it will tell me which one it is. Really, really helpful. I've also got a project section. So in the project section, I can see which projects are active. I don't actually use that, to be honest, because most of my sessions tend to be like one-offs, so they're not ongoing projects. But if you were a commercial photographer and you regularly shot for somebody, you might have a project that you like to keep an eye on. So there's the option to do that. There's also a calendar. So with 17 Hats, if you keep a calendar there, you can use their online booking section to create your bookings online. So people could go to your page, how to use your camera, have a look at what dates are available, click on the date, say, yeah, I want this one, pay for it, and automatically gets added in with no human interaction, which I could set that up, but to be honest, I much prefer phoning somebody. And I also find people are much more likely to go through and pay for their session, so to confirm their date in the diary, if you phone them. If you don't phone them and you just do it all online and automate it, they'll get the email to say, cool, yeah, thanks for signing up, here's how you pay, here's the information, terms and conditions. And sometimes they don't bother looking at it, or they won't pay. So if you want a better hit rate, if you want better customer service, like, take the time to make that phone call, connect with that person, and they are much more likely to book in. Okay. So what else do we have? We also have a to-do list. So I don't really use 17 Hats for the to-do list, but you can do it for something that you want to do. There's also a documents tab. So the documents tab will show you what contracts you have sent out. It shows you your invoices, which is really, really handy. So this is like my favorite part of 17 Hats. It will tell you, Mr. Brown, his invoice was due yesterday, and if you set it up, you can set it to automatically send a reminder on the day that it's due if they haven't paid, or you can just go in and send a reminder yourself manually. So the documents tab also shows you how much money you've made in the year. Now it runs from January to December, so it's like that sort of year as opposed to a financial year, but it's still pretty helpful at keeping an eye on things. You can also create reports to see like profit and loss, and there's a bookkeeping section in 17 Hats, which is okay, but personally I would recommend using Xero if you wanted to use an accounting or bookkeeping software, because it's just more designed to do the job and you've got a lot more functionality. It's quite a complicated topic, bookkeeping and accounting, so I just prefer to use a dedicated software for that. Saying that, if you are starting out in your photography business and you don't want to spend lots of money on lots of different software, you can just use a spreadsheet for now for your bookkeeping. Okay, for your bookkeeping, not for your customer management. I would recommend 17 Hats from the beginning for that. Just put it down as a business expense, get it as soon as you can, because it'll make your life so much easier. If you are a sole trader, you can use a spreadsheet to keep an eye on your bookkeeping, so see what money's coming, what money's coming out. Now it does take you a little bit longer than using the software, which will auto populate using your bank statements, so you have to type everything in, or you can copy and paste from a CSV file when you download your statements. But the reason why I say this is because Xero is quite expensive. It's like £33 something a month, and there's no requirement for us to use an accounting software at the moment. Now they are thinking about making tax digital in 2026, but until that happens, I'm going to save myself £360 odd a year, however much it is, and I'm just going to use my spreadsheet. So yeah, so that's a big job I have to do throughout the year, is my bookkeeping, but for me it's worth the saving. Workflow you can use in 17 hats. So your workflow is basically where that lead comes in to 17 hats and then triggers a workflow. So it might then send an estimate, it might then send more information or a questionnaire, that kind of thing. If you're a wedding photographer, it can send a quote with all the different options in like a kind of information format. So workflows are really helpful with your 17 hats too. I think that's about it for 17 hats. There are other softwares out there that you can use which will make your life easier. One that I do recommend is Canva. So although there are probably graphic designers watching this and go, no, don't tell them to do that. Canva is a really easy way for you to create good looking graphics. And it's so easy to use. You can use any size. You just put the sizes in that you want. It suggests sizes for you for different uses, Facebook cover, posts and that sort of thing. And there's loads of graphics and images all there ready for you to use. Now, a pro account is I think £99 for the year, but I have found so much use in it for my business that I really, really recommend it to people who are doing their own marketing. So that's Canva. The Canva and 17 hats. Now, the other piece of software that I'm going to recommend to you, which is industry standard and absolutely necessary for your photography, whether or not you are running a business, is Lightroom Classic. So this is a piece of software which will help you organize your files, create presets to organize your files and add metadata, so all your copyright information, any keywords you want to add to your pictures. It will also let you edit all your photos using the sliders. It's a really user-friendly piece of software. It's basically Adobe have gone, okay, well, here's Photoshop. It's a really powerful piece of software, but you kind of need to understand the toolbars and the layer system and the blending modes and all of these really complicated things. Well, let's, instead of having this really complicated piece of software, create its little brother, Lightroom, and instead of having all these different versions of how to change things, we'll just put a slider. So here's your exposure, here's your shadows, here's your highlights, here's your contrast. A really, really user-friendly piece of software. So if you say, oh no, I don't need Lightroom, I use Photoshop, trust me, you will love Lightroom. Okay, so Lightroom Classic. So there are two versions of Lightroom. There's Lightroom and Lightroom Classic. Lightroom is a simplified version. It's designed to be used on the go. So on a tablet, with a mobile, for easy sharing of your images. It's not as professional, in my opinion, as Lightroom Classic, which allows you to have more control over your files, where they're stored, embed all your metadata. There's a lot more options when it comes to editing. And then when you export your files, so you save them, you can then also have presets in how you save them. So if you know you regularly save prints, you regularly save for web use, you can have your presets with all the sizes and all the metadata included, your resolution settings, all as a preset. So once you've set it all up, it's a really easy, fast software to use. And you can batch edit. It's just so good. Like, I can't stress enough how good Lightroom is. I've had people come to me who have used lots of software in the past, and their minds are blown when I show them Lightroom. If this is something you want to learn how to use, it doesn't matter if you're local or if we're online, we can do an online session with Lightroom. I'll show you how to use it, importing your photos, putting all your metadata in, doing all your editing, exporting, and then having your files ready to then print or put online. Okay, so I don't go through the print version or the print steps in Lightroom because I personally don't use that process. But everything other than that, so your library module and your develop module, and then like editing presets, export presets, import presets, we can talk through all of those things, and I'll give you a bit more clarity to allow you to have an efficient, consistent workflow when it comes to editing and organizing your images. So yeah, it really, really is exciting. Like, it really excites me, this software. It's just so good. It saves you so much time. And that's what you need when you're running a business. You need software. You need things that save you time. Okay. And your software it's basically like hiring an assistant. Yeah. So don't think of it as, oh, I've got to pay for this. You're hiring an admin assistant and admin software, or you're hiring an editing software. Okay, it's making your job a lot easier by having the right tools in your armory. Okay, so I think that's everything that I'm going to talk you through today. I hope this has been helpful. If you like my content, go back and watch some other videos. They're generally on photography. It's not just about business. If you like my content, you know what to do. Subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends, add some comments to the video, and I will see you soon.